Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The Independent Commission Against Corruption and the police have charged 2 companies responsible for the renovation project of fire-ravaged Wanful Court in Tai Po, the project's structural engineering consultancy firm and the main contractor. Also facing charges are 7 individuals, including directors of both companies for offenses including manslaughter. The Joint Investigation Team of Police and the Independent Commission Against Corruption began looking into possible criminal offences linked to the blaze at Wanful Court in Tai Po, which claimed 168 lives. Multiple arrests have been made, now with charges laid. The case was heard at the West Kowloon Magistrates Courts. Aged between 33 and 60, the 7 defendants are linked to project consultancy firm Willpower Architects and Prestige Construction and Engineering Company, the main contractor for Wanful Court's renovation. 5 of them work for Willpower, including director Wang Hap-yin and Ng Yerk, Hong Kwok-wei, Chung So-fan, and Li Min. 2 are Prestige directors Ha Wa-kin and Ho Kin-yip. Alongside the 2 firms, they have been charged with 25 counts, including conspiracy to defraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. They allegedly made false statements to the Housing Bureau's independent checking unit and submitted fake litigation records to the owner's corporation, resulting in Prestige becoming the sole preferred bidder in a tender evaluation report. Wang Hap-yin, Ng Yerk, and Ho Kin-yip, as well as the 2 firms, face another manslaughter charge. They are supposed to oversee the project but use substandard quality materials in the works, with gross negligence in their responsibility, which led to the deadly inferno. The prosecution has applied to postpone the case and objected to bail applications from all defendants. The defendants are said to likely pervert the course of justice by disturbing the witnesses, many of whom are former Willpower Architects employees or ex-subordinates of the defendants. They also hold risks of jumping bail. Hong Kong has seen multiple accidents with major casualties leading to manslaughter prosecution due to gross negligence. They include the overturned KMB bus accident, which killed 19 people in 2018. The driver was sentenced to 14 years behind bars. In a 2012 Lamma Island ferry tragedy, which led to 39 fatalities, the captains of 2 vessels were both charged with manslaughter. One of them was later sentenced to 8 years in prison. Barrister Albert Look says, for manslaughter conviction from gross negligence to be established, the duty of care should exist between the defendant and the deaths. The second element involves whether the defendant's action amounts to gross negligence, including failure to undertake necessary safety measures. And third, whether the negligence was a substantial cause of the victim's death. The case jointly filed by ICAC and police against the 7 defendants and 2 firms linked to the Wanful Court fire has been adjourned until September for further hearing. 5 of the 7 defendants have been denied bail and remanded in custody. Police say 35 people have been arrested so far linked to the blaze, with 7 prosecuted for alleged failure to fulfill their supervision responsibility, resulting in serious casualties. Police say the use of non-flame retardant safety nets and flammable foam panels, as well as the removal of window access for escape routes to allow workers to access the exterior scaffolding, are suspected to have seriously affected Wanful Court's fire safety, causing the blaze to spread rapidly. The ICAC meanwhile says the incident involved big rigging, noting that some were allegedly driven by selfish interests, that they not only failed to fulfill their professional responsibilities, but also disregarded the lives and property of residents. The Hong Kong Chu Hai College files a lawsuit against its finance director, Yip Kam Chun, who was earlier arrested on suspicion of misappropriating funds. The institution is seeking to recover more than $25 million from Yip and related parties. Timothy Lee has more.
The Hong Kong Chu Hai College filed a lawsuit to the High Court on Monday against its finance chief Yip Kam Chun, as well as Ho Chung Ling and a project design company. Judicial authorities indicates the case will be heard Friday. According to the writ, the defendants plotted to commit fraud by transferring misappropriated funds under the guise of payroll, auto-pay, and academic expenditures. The institution is seeking damages of $17.3 million from Yip and another $3 million each from the 2 other defendants. The Hong Kong Chu Hai College is requesting the court to declare that the defendants acquired partial ownership of the institution's assets via a constructive trust. The college is also demanding compensation from the defendants for breach of confidence, breach of implied duty of fidelity, as well as conspiracy to defraud. This following the police's arrest of Yip in April this year on suspicion of misappropriating $770,000 worth of college funds. Sources say authorities were notified of Yip's alleged activities by the institution's president. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The government has proposed a uniform 2% pay rise for all civil servants without following the net salary trend indicator results. The Civil Service Bureau met with civil servant groups this morning, and some representatives expressed dissatisfaction with the increase. Secretary for the Civil Service Ingrid Yeung met with representatives from 4 civil servant groups, including the Police Force Council and the Hong Kong Chinese Civil Servants Association. The Police Force Council's labor representative said after the meeting that they had expressed dissatisfaction with the pay rise to the Bureau. Ingrid Yeung said the pay increase must take into account the geopolitical situation and government finances. The troops of the United States and Iran again traded fire for a U.S. Army helicopter downing over the Strait of Hormuz, which marked the first loss of an Apache since the war began. The Pentagon carried out a series of strikes against military sites south of Iran, while the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps responds by targeting dozens of U.S. bases across Gulf neighbors. Danny Zhou has more.
Hostilities flared up again in the morning, further straining the shaky 2-month ceasefire. The U.S. Central Command claims an AH-64 Apache attack helicopter crashed off the coast of Oman after being hit by a drone early Tuesday. 2 aviators aboard were located by an unmanned drone boat, officials say. U.S. President Donald Trump took to Truth Social and said Iran had shot down the aircraft while it was on patrol over the Strait of Hormuz. Confirming the 2 American service members are safe and uninjured, Trump urged the military must, of necessity, respond to this attack.
The pilots are fine, yeah.
And
nobody injured. We are going to issue a report tomorrow, but the pilots are fine, yeah.
Fighter jets from the U.S. Air Force and Navy began bombing air defense, ground control stations and radar systems along the coastline in southern Iran, which they say are being carried out in self-defense.
In retaliation, Iran has launched attacks targeting the island nation of Bahrain, as well as the small Mideast nation of Kuwait. Air defense systems were heard going off in both of those countries, and it's unclear what damage has been done. Meanwhile, Iran has also claimed an attack targeting Jordan. That kingdom near Israel had seen attacks targeting it in the Iran war. This would be the first since the April ceasefire took effect. And it also underlines both Jordan's continued hosting of American aircraft, as well as that kingdom's precarious position between Israel and Iran, as those 2 sides had been attacking each other earlier this week as well.
Israeli Defense Forces Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir reportedly says the Israeli military will continue to maintain a state of readiness to resume combat operations at any time. China's foreign ministry has expressed concerns about the latest situation in Iran, reiterating the appeal for reaching a comprehensive and lasting ceasefire through diplomatic means. A spokesperson says all relevant parties should remain calm and exercise restraint and stop aggravating confrontations and escalating tensions. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Christian leaders from the Lebanon city of Tyre are calling on international community and the country's officials to stop Israel from attacking the Christian district of the city. Airstrikes killed 8 and wounded dozens on Tuesday in parts of Tyre. The religious leaders say the Old Quarter is not merely a residential neighborhood, but the human and historical heart of the city of Tyre. Scores of Tyre residents are fleeing the city along the Mediterranean coast. Instead of continuing to trade fire with Iran, Israel focuses its attack on the ancient Lebanese city, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Ebola cases climbed to nearly 600 in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, with the death toll reaching 115. As the situation continues to escalate, the World Health Organization is rolling out a massive push for early testing and contact tracing. Meanwhile, protests ensue as Kenyans continue their push against the U.S. proposed quarantine facilities, while Germany is making headway with a drug combination. Gloria Feng has more.
The Democratic Republic of the Congo confirms the latest number of Ebola cases is now close to 600, with 115 dead. There are signs of hope, however, as 22 patients have recovered and the spread to new health zones seem to have halted. Working closely with the World Health Organization, Congo officials are urging citizens to seek early medical attention if they experience symptoms of fever, vomiting, or severe weakness. They're also asking citizens not to attack health workers and to follow health protocols. The WHO is making a massive push for early testing and contact tracing to contain the virus. Though the initial effort will signal a boost in cases due to the scale-up of testings, the agency says. More labs are being put into force in Congo as the situation develops. Meanwhile, a Congolese singer is raising funds and awareness with a new song. She says while she's not a medical personnel, she hopes to make a difference in the epidemic through her work. And a slam poet details the necessary precautions citizens should follow in his prose, including washing hands and wearing face masks in an effort to help the public stay vigilant. In the Kenyan town of Nanyuki, police is seen clashing with protesters and firing into the crowd. This as locals fight to reject U.S.'s plans to build a quarantine facility at the Laikipia Air Base to house its infected nationals, despite a court ruling barring construction and the arrival of any foreign patients. They want to kill us. Why are they forcefully bringing us Ebola? This resident says. In Berlin, doctors are seeing promising results in an American patient who has been given a drug containing antibodies that can neutralize all sorts of Ebola viruses.
Under this treatment, along with other supportive measures, we saw quite a rapid decline of the viral loads in the blood of the patient, and also an improvement of the clinical situation and other lab values.
Gloria Fung, TVB News.
Welcome back. A stabbing perpetrated by a Sudanese asylum seeker is sparking a series of anti-immigration protests across Belfast. The incident fuels the burgeoning racial tensions in the UK as British Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemns the attack, saying it was sickening and he has no tolerance for abhorrent scenes of violence. Gloria Fung has more.
Aerial footage of a residential area shows a house and cars set ablaze. Smoke spewing out of a shop. Fire trucks rushed to the scene Tuesday evening following a stabbing that sees a 40-year-old man sustain serious injuries to his eyes, face, and back by a kitchen knife the day before. The police arrested a 30-year-old Sudanese asylum seeker, given leave to remain in Northern Ireland at the scene. A widely shared social media post calling for protests quickly went viral. At a press briefing, Assistant Chief Constable of the Police Service of Northern Ireland, Ryan Henderson, acknowledges the brutal nature of the crime and urges the public to voice their concerns through peaceful means. He says the department is liaising with counterterrorism entities and have found no information to suggest it was a terrorism-related incident at this early stage.
This morning I've been talking to colleagues from the Home Office whose role it is to manage the immigration status of individuals. I can confirm my understanding is that the individual was given leave to stay, or remain, in Northern Ireland, but I know that colleagues in the Home Office will be confirming the exact details of the status over the coming days.
Echoing Prime Minister Keir Starmer's views, UK Secretary of State of Northern Ireland Hilary Benn condemns those who are provoking violence. He says the government will take a stance against those who are abusing UK's hospitality.
Of course, everyone has the right to express their view. But in the end, if we want to support the PSNI, the last thing people should be doing is stretching their resources across Northern Ireland to deal with protests that aren't going to help anyone and are not going to assist in the furtherance of this investigation. Any foreign national who abuses the hospitality of this country to commit crime should be in no doubt of our determination to deport them.
Ben praises members of the public who risk their own safety to pull the assailant away and help the victim, who remains in serious condition. Gloria Fung, TVB News.
A retired Air Canada pilot who has been flying for nearly 3 decades is facing several charges after police allege he used a counterfeit license to misrepresent his qualifications. During a news conference, Peel Police Deputy Chief Nick Milinovich says details of the investigation into the 59-year-old pilot, identified as Jeffrey Wall, was like something out of the movies.
This investigation and the details surrounding it read like a movie script. It was a complex fraud and forgery investigation involving allegations against a former commercial airline pilot. It was initiated after a regulatory review by Transport Canada into the licensing requirements and credentials of a commercial airline pilot who was working for the victim, Air Canada. This pilot had a 27-year career, and we are alleging that since 2009 has been flying for years, misrepresenting himself and his credentials to his employer and regulatory officials using fraudulent licensing documents.
Rescuers continue to search ruined buildings in southern Philippines after one of the strongest earthquakes hit the country. Searches are complicated by minor quakes still taking place, including one captured by the Associated Press Wednesday. The aftershock rattles a fire truck. Workers rush out of the collapsed buildings in General Santos. The Office of Civil Defense acknowledges several collapsed and damaged buildings must be thoroughly inspected for possible survivors or casualties. The government has proposed to declare Stanley Mosque at Stanley Prison and Hung Shing Temple in Wan Chai as statutory monuments. Hung Shing Temple, located on Queens Road East, is believed to have been built between 1847 and 1852. The Antiquities and Monuments Office says it has long served as a center for worship and community activities, while retaining a high degree of its original design. Meanwhile, the Stanley Mosque was built between 1936 and 1937 and is the second oldest mosque in the city. It was built with the efforts and donations of Muslim staff working for the prisons department at the time, as well as the wider community. It is said to stand as a testament to the growth of the Muslim community in Hong Kong. A new study on the Employee Health Insurance Index shows a surge in insurance usage rates of inpatient services. Researchers say that could drive up insurance premiums and eventually add burdens on the public healthcare system. Conducted by the College of Professional and Continuing Education of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University and a corporate employee benefits and MPF consultancy firm, the research looked into data from the past 10 years, covering some 26,000 employees from 135 companies. It was found that inpatient utilization rate surged 16.5% year-on-year. Analysis indicated that minor day procedures are the key driver of the surge, accounting for 87% of inpatient cases in 2025. Among them, around two-thirds were non-urgent minor operations, including viral wart, endoscopy, and earwax-related procedures. Ingrown nails, localized superficial swellings or lumps, and cellulitis also entered the top 10 inpatient diagnoses for the first time. Notably, ingrown nail cases average around $17,000 per claim, even higher than endoscopy-related cases by around $4,000. Outpatient expenses now average $610 per visit, nearly doubled over the past 10 years. Among them, sharp rises in visits to physiotherapies.
The rate of increase seems to be so high that it cannot just be accountable for natural aging. So I guess there's more patients' awareness. They think that this would help them. And also, I guess, there are also more providers who are willing to provide.
They said potentially abusive insurance claims could lead to backlash on the public healthcare system and taxpayers.
Might partly be due to the distorted insurance. Eventually, patients will seek treatment in the public sector, and that will gradually increase the utilization and the expenses in the public hospitals. And of course, that's through the taxation.
Researchers remind that as all invasive procedures carry risks, including endoscopy, patients should weigh the benefits and risks carefully, even when insurance coverage is available. Apart from improving pre-authorization mechanisms, researchers suggest enhancing patient education to avoid overtreatment. The Chinese University of Hong Kong has reviewed a new treatment for lung cancer patients. Some patients taking the third-generation targeted therapy lorlatinib experienced no disease progression over 7 years. Kelly Law reports.
In Hong Kong, lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer-related deaths, with more than 6,000 new cases annually. Among those cases involving genetic mutations, ALK-positive non-small cell lung cancer is more likely to carry a higher risk of brain metastases. The Chinese University of Hong Kong's Faculty of Medicine, colleague with multiple cancer centers worldwide, held a 7-year clinical trial on lung cancer, especially for advanced ALK-positive patients. 296 patients who had never received treatment participated. 149 patients were randomly selected and received the third-generation targeted therapy, lorlatinib. 55% of them had no disease progression after 7 years. But patients receiving a first-generation targeted therapy drug had a progression-free survival period of only 9.1 months. Norman Wu, 61, was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer 3 years ago. He began taking a third-generation targeted therapy drug and has shown no disease progression. At the beginning, he is 180 pounds and now he is 205 pounds. But he is very happy that this medicine allows him to live. Professor Tony Mok, head of the Department of Clinical Oncology at CUHK, said the third-generation targeted therapy drug can suppress brain metastases of ALK cancer cells and the risk of disease progression. Mok says the approach is to suppress the cancer cell and prevent it from continuing to grow. The study also found that lorlatinib is safe for long-term use with no evidence of new or more severe side effects. Kelly Law, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.